Hey guys, Elizabeth here from Plant-Based Bride, and I'm back for another week of Last Week in Vegan. So I'm going to start off with a list of awesome things that are happening in Canada right now. I got really excited as I was doing research for this video. I kept finding great news for Canada and veganism. So let's hop into the first 4 stories that are all really awesome news. So the first one is that the first entirely vegan boutique has opened in Canada, and it's opened in my own backyard in Toronto, Queen Street West. It's called The Imperative, and it's actually opening across the street from Doomie's. If any of you are Torontonians, then you know Doomie's is kind of like a junk food type vegan restaurant, and it's actually owned by the same parent company as Doomie's, and they have an entire vegan shoe room. They have all these vegan statement tees, vegan coats, hats, bags. I'm so excited to go. It opened just this weekend, and in conclusion, I'm going to spend way too much money there. The next exciting story is that London, Ontario is getting a vegan fast food restaurant, which the owner is hoping to expand across Canada and the States. The plan is for it to open in January 2017, and while I'm not a huge fast food fan, I think fast food isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And as much as we can, if we can co-opt fast food to be vegan, to be plant-based, it'll be healthier. It will also be better for the animals and the environment. And those are things that we should really be trying to do. So I'm super excited about this. From what I can tell, it doesn't have a name yet. So if you guys have any vegan fast food restaurant name ideas, leave them in the comments below, and maybe we can influence what they call it. The next big story is that Canada's second all-vegan butcher shop is opening up in Montreal. The first one was called Yam Chops. It's right here in Toronto, and this one, Gusta Foods, is going to be opening in the Jean Talon Market in Montreal. It's opening a couple days before Christmas, so I know next time I'm going to visit my sister in Montreal, I'm going to be checking them out. They have some prepared foods like poutine, grilled cheese sandwiches, along with non-GMO cashew milk-based cheeses and sausages and seitan-based meats, and I'm really excited about these popping up. I hope that they continue to pop up in all of the major city centers in Canada, because the more access to these foods, the more popular they become, and the more people realize that going vegan isn't the hardest thing that they're ever gonna do, and there's options for them. The last exciting story for Canada this week is just so goddamn exciting, and it is that Canadian Tire and the companies that it owns, including Sports Check, National Sports, Pro Hockey Life, and Marks, are all committing to never selling fur again. That's more than 1,000 stores across Canada that will not sell any product with fur. This is a huge deal because we know how cruel the fur industry is, and the fact that such a huge chain is committing to not buying into that entire industry is great news, and hopefully will be a big blow to the Canadian fur industry, and hopefully we can see the kind of trend that's happened in Japan. We were talking about it last week that their final fur farm closed, so hopefully something like that is on the horizon in Canada too. So unfortunately this week isn't just good news. When we go south of the border to the States, we have some less than good news. And this story is that Trump has just delivered a double gift to the meat industry. And this is through 2 appointments he made this week. The first one is of Iowa Governor Terry Branstad, Trump's pick to serve as ambassador to China. And the second appointment of the Oklahoma-based Scott Pruitt, who Trump has appointed to serve as the head of the Environmental Protection Agency. Both of these men have huge ties to the animal agriculture industry. So let's start with Branstad. His chief patron is Bruce Rasteter, who is the CEO of Summit Agriculture Group, which is a major Iowa pork and ethanol producer. When he ran in 2010, Rasteter was his #1 donor. His #2 donor, Eldon and Regina Roth. Eldon is the CEO of Beef Products International. As we can see, the money trail is clear. The majority of his donations to run for public office came from the agriculture industry, so it's not too hard to see where his allegiance lies. Branstad helped to sign into law one of the ag-gag laws in the States, which make it illegal to film what goes on in factory farms and slaughterhouses. And he's been a huge supporter of trade between the US and China in the meat industry. Once he's installed as the ambassador to China, there'll be a very clear path for the export of animal products from the United States to China. As China's meat consumption increases, this looks like a big opening for expansion of pork and beef industries in the US. And it's dangerous, as we can see that this man traveled on his last trip to China along with the heads of the Pork Producers Association and the Iowa Beef Council. Clearly his priorities are not aligned with those of us who are worried about the ethics, the health, and the environmental impact of the animal agriculture industry. Then we move on to Pruitt. We already know that the EPA is not doing a great job of regulating large factory farms, and Pruitt was one of those who pushed forward question 777 on this year's election, which was the right to farm law. Fortunately, this was shot down. 60% of Oklahoma voters voted against this law, which would have meant that farms could not be regulated by the state. So that's good news, but when you weigh it against the fact that the man who was really pushing it forward is set to be the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, it makes us wonder if that decision by the public is even going to matter. In 2014, Pruitt launched an investigation into the Humane Society, who was opposing the right to farm legislation, and in August 2015, the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association awarded him the Distinguished Service Award, given to, quote, individuals who have contributed to the success of the OCA and the Oklahoma beef cattle industry. And of course, there's the fact that just days before the election, in his keynote speech at the Oklahoma Farm Bureau's annual convention, he complained that the EPA is affecting farmers and ranchers and affecting oil and gas. I would say, Mr. Pruitt, that that's kind of the point of an environmental protection agency. They're supposed to affect industries that cause environmental destruction, like oil and gas industries and the animal agriculture industry. That's the entire point of the agency. So the fact that this man is going to be the head of the agency is legitimately terrifying. So thanks, Donald Trump. Thank you so much. At least in the coming years, we can look forward to the fact that solar power has gone down in price. Thanks to a major decline in cost of equipment, solar power is becoming way more affordable. This means that many developing countries may be able to skip over costly coal industry, both for the environment and in the cost of building that infrastructure, to go straight to clean energy like solar power. Maybe, just maybe, the rest of the world can make up for all the shit the US is getting up to. The next story of the day is from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and they found that beans are actually more satisfying than meat. According to new research published online in Food and Nutrition Research, beans, peas, and other legumes are actually more satiating than meat. They compared 3 different types of meals. So a meal that was high in animal-based protein, a meal high in plant-based protein, and a meal lower in plant-based protein. And they found that the majority of the 43 participants were more satiated by that middle option, the high-protein plant-based option. They found that the low-protein plant-based meal and the high-protein animal-based meal actually seemed to satiate people the exact same amount. Researchers think that it's the high fiber content in the plant-based meals that make them more satiating than the lower fiber content that you find in animal products, which, I mean, is something that all of us know. If you eat a high-fiber meal, even if it's lower in protein, you're more likely to be a lot more full than if you eat a low-fiber meal. I'm going to link this study below so that if any of you, especially around the holidays, have friends and family saying that vegan food just could never fill them up, you can bring this out and say, look, science says it can. The next story of the day is very exciting, and that is that Tesla is expanding its vegan interior option to all of its car models. They had originally only offered the vegan interior for one style of vehicle last January, but things have been moved around and now the vegan interiors are actually the primary option for all of the car models. Tesla has also discontinued all of its animal-based interior options except for one. This is a great sign, and hopefully that one option will soon be replaced by yet another amazing, high-quality, cruelty-free interior option. Even other car makers that aren't focused on being environmentally friendly, like Bentley and Ferrari, are looking into vegan interior options. This is a huge deal because so many vehicles are sold as being high quality or being luxurious if they have leather interiors. And there's no need to make cars more cruel than they already are for the environment and for animals. We might as well make really high quality vegan interiors that didn't involve killing any animals whatsoever. The last story of the day is a bit sobering and not necessarily about veganism, but it's important, so I'm going to talk about it. Many of you are aware of what's happening in Aleppo right now, and if you're not, you need to inform yourself. I know that we're all focused on our own lives at this time of year. It can be crazy busy. You're thinking about going somewhere with your family. Maybe you get stressed around the holidays spending time with your family. If you're like me, you might be an introvert and not like being at big crowded family gatherings. Or maybe like me, you're a vegan and most of your family is not, and you don't like being around people who disrespect or at least don't share your values. I get it, but other things are happening in other parts of the world. The world doesn't stop spinning just because it's the holidays. I'm going to link an article below that I really encourage you to read. It's about just doing it. Don't just read about things that are happening and then be upset about it and then move on with your life. Do something. This article encourages you to actually, in the middle of the article, just go and donate to the people who are helping in Aleppo. Go and write to your MP and ask what the government is doing to help Aleppo. Those things take no time whatsoever. I read this article on Friday morning while I was lying in bed, and I donated money to the White Helmets who are involved in rescue missions in Aleppo, and I wrote my MP and asked her what the Canadian government is doing to help Aleppo. It took me less than 5 minutes. So if you have enough money to be buying gifts for your friends and family, you have enough money to donate to this cause, to help the people of Aleppo whose lives are being completely destroyed. So go read the article, donate, write your member of the government, and share it on Facebook. Tell all of your friends about it. Support the people who are risking their lives to help those in Aleppo. And I'll see you guys really soon in my next Last Week in Vegan. Bye! Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on social media so we can be friends. Watch my last video, and don't support me on Patreon. Go donate to the people helping in Aleppo. Please, just do it.